In the small village of Awo-Oja, marriage was the crown of a woman's life. Every mother prayed for her daughter's wedding, and every father dreamed of a grand ceremony. Among them was Adaeze, a beautiful young woman with skin like polished bronze and a smile that melted even the hardest heart. She was kind, she was patient, and above all, she believed deeply in love. So when she was told that a wealthy, handsome man named Obinna had asked for her hand, she felt like all her prayers had been answered at once. Her parents rejoiced. The village drums sounded louder than ever before. But little did Adaeze know, not all that glitters is gold. Obinna arrived from the city dressed in rich agbada, gold embroidery shining under the sun. He had a deep voice, a proud walk, and a presence that silenced the market women. A fine man, they whispered. He spoke politely, gifted the elders yams, goats, and a fat cow for the marriage rites. Addis's heart thumped with excitement. She could not believe someone like him chose her. Her friends envied her. Her mother cried tears of joy, but none of them knew the secret Obinna carried deep in his chest, a secret even love songs could not hide. The sun smiled brightly on their wedding day. Adaeze wore coral beads around her neck and wrists, her hair woven into perfect braids, her wrapper sparkling. Obinna stood tall beside her, eyes steady, smile warm. The vows were exchanged, wine was shared, blessings rained down from the mouths of elders. May your home be fruitful, they prayed. The village feasted into the night, drums, dance, laughter filling the air. Adaeze's heart was full to the brim. She had waited for this day all her life. But when the sun went down and the guests went home, Adaeze was about to discover something that would shake her very soul. As they entered the marital room, Adaeze's hands trembled slightly. She had been raised to be modest, to obey, to trust. The room smelled of sweet hibiscus flowers and burning candles. Obinna, her husband, closed the door gently behind them. For a moment, there was silence, just the two of them, alone. Adaeze smiled nervously, her cheeks burning. Obinna reached for her hand. His palms were soft, too soft, she thought, for a man. She brushed it aside. Maybe she was just nervous. Maybe she was imagining things. Obinna removed his heavy robes, revealing a smaller, more delicate frame underneath. Adaeze's smile faded. She stepped closer, her heart pounding. Something was not right. His shoulders were not as broad as they seemed. His chest was flat, too flat. Adaeze's breathing quickened. Is it the light? She thought desperately. But no. The closer she looked, the more the truth screamed at her. Obinna, her husband, was not the man everyone thought he was. Tears welled up in her eyes. Her voice stuck in her throat. She could not even scream. Obinna sat down, facing her with sad, tired eyes. Adaeze, he said, voice trembling. Before you judge me, please listen. But Adaeze couldn't hear. Her world spun. Her knees weakened. She stumbled backward, hitting the edge of the bed. She felt betrayed, lied to, humiliated. All her dreams shattered in one single night. The proud wife of Awo-Oja was now the woman with a husband who was not truly a man. In that heavy silence, Adaeze realized her life would never be the same again. Adaeze sat frozen, staring blankly at the man. Or was it a woman? She had just married. Questions danced wildly in her mind. Why would he do this? Why would he deceive me? What have I done to deserve this shame? Obinna, or whatever his real name was, sat silently, hands folded like a guilty child. The candles flickered, casting strange shadows across the walls. Adaeze's breathing was shallow, heavy. The night that was supposed to mark the beginning of a joy had turned into a nightmare. At last, Obina spoke. His voice was soft but steady. He explained how he was born in a world that never accepted him, how he had fought to live as a man, dressing, speaking, behaving like one. In the city, nobody questioned him. In fact, many praised him for his strong ways. But in Awo Oja, where tradition ruled stronger than any king, he knew he would be condemned if the truth ever came out. I wanted love, he said, tears shining in his eyes. I thought maybe you could love me for who I am inside. Adaeze listened, but her heart was a battlefield. One side of her pitied Obina, the years of hiding, the loneliness, the desperate search for acceptance. But the other side burned with anger. He had robbed her of choice. He had forced her into a life she'd never agreed to. She wrapped her arms tightly around herself, as if shielding her soul from further harm. She thought about her parents, the villagers, the shame she would face if this secret ever leaked. Tears ran down her cheeks, but not from love, from betrayal. The candles burned low into the night. Adaeze sat at the edge of the bed, staring into the darkness. Obina had fallen asleep, curled up like a child, but Adaze's eyes refused to close. Every tick of the clock sounded like a drum of betrayal. She clutched her wrapper tighter around her chest. How could she ever face the morning? How could she explain this to her mother, who danced with joy just hours ago? The night stretched endlessly, cold and merciless. Adaeze felt as if she had aged 10 years before the cock crowed. When the first light of dawn touched the room, Adaeze quietly stood up. Her steps were slow, heavy, like a prisoner walking to a sentence. She washed her face, tied her wrapper tightly, and stared at herself in the mirror. The girl who believed in fairy tales was gone. In her place stood a woman who had tasted betrayal. She knew she could not keep this secret locked inside, but she also knew the cost of speaking would be high. The weight of it pressed down on her chest, making it hard to breathe. The compound was already alive with visitors, elders, aunties, neighbors. All came with gifts and prayers for the new couple. Adaeze forced a weak smile and stepped outside, feeling every eye on her. Women praised her beauty. Men clapped Obina on the back, calling him a lucky man. Adaeze felt sick. Every greeting, every blessing was a lie built on another lie. As she stood among the laughing villagers, Adaeze knew she had a decision to make. Stay silent and protect the shameful truth, or speak out and watch her world burn. Adaeze's mother, Mama Ngozi, was no fool. As she watched her daughter greet the guests, she saw the stiff smile, the distant eyes, the way Adaeze's fingers trembled ever so slightly. After most of the crowd had eaten and gone, Mama Ngozi pulled her daughter aside. "My child," she said gently, "your eyes are too heavy for a new bride. What troubles you?" Adaeze opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Tears welled up again, but she swallowed them. How could she even begin to explain? How could she shatter her mother's pride with one single truth? Later that afternoon, back inside the room, Obina approached her cautiously. "Adaeze," he said, "please, give me time. I will be a good husband to you. I will protect you. No one has to know." His voice shook with fear and hope. Adaeze turned her face away, staring out the window. The trees outside swayed gently, as if whispering secrets she could not hear. Her heart was torn. If she left him, the shame would follow her forever. If she stayed, She would live a lie every single day. Either way, her dreams of a pure, honest marriage were gone. Just as Adaeze was battling within herself, a loud knock sounded on the door. It was one of the elders, calling the couple to the central compound. Tradition demanded that the new couple appear before the council after their first night to be blessed and officially recognized. Adaze's blood ran cold. How could she sit before the elders, smile, and accept blessings on a lie? Obina gently took her hand. Please, he whispered, just today, then we can decide what to do. With her heart pounding, Adaeze nodded slowly. She had no choice. At least not yet. The village square was buzzing with excitement. Everyone gathered under the big Iroko tree, where the elders sat in a half circle, their walking sticks by their sides. Obina and Adaeze were led forward. Drums beat slowly in the background, as if measuring Adeze's heartbeat. She lowered her eyes to the ground, feeling like a thief before a king. The head elder, a wrinkled old man with a voice like dry leaves, raised his hand. Come forward, children. May the gods of Awo Oja bless your union. Adeze's stomach twisted. She forced a smile and knelt with Obina, bowing her head low. The blessing began. Libations were poured, old songs were sung, the women ululated joyfully. As the elder placed his hand on Adeze's head, she felt a deep shame burn inside her chest. May your womb be fruitful, the elder prayed. May your husband be your protector and your crown. Adaeze flinched slightly. She could feel Obina's hand tighten around hers, desperate, pleading. She wanted to scream, to run, to tear off the beads around her neck and shout the truth to the sky. But she stayed silent, silent like the heavy clouds that hid the sun. After the ceremony, people cheered and gifts were handed to the couple. Yams, goats, cloth, symbols of prosperity. Adaeze smiled mechanically, thanking each giver. But inside, she felt like a hollow gourd, beautiful outside, empty within. She had survived the blessing, but at what cost? Her silence had bought her a life she did not choose, a marriage built on sand. As she returned to her marital home with Obina that evening, the weight of her decision crushed her shoulders. She knew something had to change, because the heart can only carry so much before it breaks. In small villages like Awo Oja, secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks. It started with little whispers. Some women said they noticed how Obina avoided the wrestling matches. Others said he moved too softly. For a man, aunties with sharp eyes caught the nervous glances between the new couple. Before long, tongues wagged like drums in a festival. Have you noticed? They whispered. Something is not right with that marriage. Adaeze heard the whispers wherever she went. At the market, at the river, even on the narrow footpaths between farms. Fear gripped her heart tighter every day. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the palm trees, Adaeze's childhood friend, Ifunanya, visited her. Ifunanya was bold, the type who spoke her mind without fear. She sat close, her voice low but firm. Adaeze, she said, they are starting to talk. You need to be careful. If the truth comes out from another mouth, you will lose everything. Your respect, your name, your future. Adaeze blinked back tears. What can I do, Ifunanya? She whispered. Her friend squeezed her hand tightly. You must be the one to speak first, before the world speaks for you. That night, Adaeze tossed and turned on her mat. Obina slept peacefully beside her, unaware of the war raging inside her soul. Adaeze thought of her mother's proud face, her father's blessings, the expectations of the village. But she also thought about her own happiness, her right to live without shame or lies. By midnight, she sat up, heart pounding. She had made a decision. Tomorrow, when the sun rose over our Oja, she would no longer hide. She would step into the light, even if it meant losing everything she once held dear. Morning broke with golden light washing over the village. Adaeze wrapped her best wrapper around her waist and tied a scarf tightly over her hair. With steady steps, she walked to the village square, where the elders sat in the shade, sipping palm wine. The villagers gathered quickly, whispers buzzing like angry bees. Adaeze stood tall, her voice clear but trembling. "I have something to say," she began. Silence fell like a heavy cloth. In a few brave words, Adaeze told the truth about Obina, about the secret, about her heartache. She spoke with tears, but also with strength, the kind that only comes after a storm. The village exploded into chaos. Some gasped in shock. Some shook their heads. Others shouted angrily. A few elders banged their sticks on the ground in fury. "A curse!" some cried. "An abomination!" others whispered. Obina was dragged before the council, his face pale with fear. He tried to explain, tried to beg, but the village had no patience for broken traditions. Adaeze watched it all, numb inside. She was not proud, but she was free. Her truth, once chained inside her chest, now soared into the open sky. Let them talk. Let them judge. She had spoken first, and in that she had won. Days later, Addis packed her few belongings and left Awo Oja. She did not know where she would go or what life would bring next, but for the first time, her heart was light. She walked past the farms, past the river, past the hills, into a future she would build with her own hands. Some villagers would always whisper her name with pity or anger, but others secretly would tell their daughters, "Be like Adaeze, brave enough to choose truth over shame." And as the sun set behind her, painting the sky in colors of hope, Adaeze smiled. She was no longer just a bride. She was her own woman,